I'd now like to present our keynote. And everyone talks a little bit about AI and what is it. And this gentleman, I heard him speak in Melbourne at the Australian Revenue Management Conference, and he's amazing at what he does. So I'd like to welcome on stage Professor Dr. Armin Beheshti. Is that, yeah, I'm Italian, okay. From Maquarie University and Centre. Professor Armin is a full professor of data science at Maquarie University and the adjunct professor of computer science at the UNSW University of New South Wales in Sydney. He's the founder and director of the Centre for Applied Artificial Intelligence, the head of Data Science Labs, and the founder of the Big Data Society at Macquarie University, Sydney. Please welcome Professor Armin on stage to talk about enhancing your hotel offering with real-world AI. Thank you very much. The keynote's been brought to you by Intelli Software, which is a great revenue management system that I've seen it, I've used it, it's fantastic. So please welcome Professor Armin on stage. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you are all well and safe. It's a great pleasure to be here. I would love to take the opportunity to educate you a little bit about artificial intelligence, and it is a very important time in human history. You know, lots of things are changing. A great opportunity to learn a little bit about what's happening and prepare for the tsunami of new technologies that are coming. So if you just go back and have a quick look at 1900 to 2000, 100 years of innovation, very interesting opportunities for human history. And then from 2000 to 2022, in just 22 years, we had 100 years of new innovations, so lots of new things, EVs, cryptography, quantum computing, lots of new technologies that started revolutionizing businesses. And then in the next 5 years, just in 5 years, since 2022, that we have heard about new technologies in generative AI. So there's a prediction that we are going to have 100 years of innovation in just 5 years. And it is just started happening. So a few interesting projects that has been started last year and started changing the human history. So one of them started from Stanford in collaboration with Google, a digital version of the real life that we have here. So there are digital agents living in the virtual world. They have families. They read newspaper, they go to school, so each of them, they have the avatar, and the project started, to help identifying mental disorders. So you see, this is quite challenging for psychologists to identify a specific type of disorders, like, for example, bipolar or anxiety, whatever it is. So, they started this project, create a profile of the patients, put them in the scenario, in the same family, different, scenarios, and they're collecting lots of information. And the accuracy is really outstanding. But the discussion is that the opportunities could be in the next 5 years. If you have a new version of COVID, for example, we can drag and drop the virus in that environment, and the agents there, they can create the vaccine for us in just few seconds. And just think about the opportunities there. And then another one, a very interesting one, using Gen AI, with the naked eye, whatever you are looking at, then the system generates the same image. So applications, could be really interesting in teaching and learning or in personalizing, the activities for businesses. The other interesting one, whatever you think about, so your thought will be turned into a set of narratives in natural language. So just think about the future of the court, future of the prison, or in medicine and health, helping patients with some sort of a disorders that they cannot communicate. So these are just very simple examples of what has been happening in the last 2 years, and then lots of other interesting applications are there. But before we understand what is artificial intelligence, it is very important to understand the intelligence, because AI is coming from us humans, right? So we are intelligent entities, and intelligence can be defined as the capability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills in order to accomplish a process. So process is a very important concept for us, because just think about this, as humans, whatever we do is a set of personal and business processes each day. So for example, when you wake up in the morning, the first thing that you do, you just make up your bed. There's a process to do that. A process is a set of related tasks and activities to achieve a specific goal, right? You want to prepare a cup of coffee. You want to change your phone number. You want to apply for a loan. So whatever activity that you are doing is a set of related processes. So processes can be personal, can be business. Business process is the heart of any organization. That is why, industries are very interested to understand how AI can revolutionize their processes. A very important component of intelligence is knowledge. If you just look at the education system that we have, our ancestors, designed to have primary school, kindergarten, to transfer a knowledge, to next generation. So language is everything here. Without having an abstract language, we cannot communicate. We cannot, transfer this knowledge. It is very important. We have a very important type of intelligence called analytical intelligence. And analytical intelligence is something that developed, over the first years of an intelligent human life. The next type of intelligence is cognitive intelligence. And this is where, for example, if we go back to the education system, we see we have high school and undergrad courses that we try to pass on some sort of skills and best practices to next generation. So someone wants to be a lawyer, someone wants to be an engineer, someone wants to be, for example, a medical doctor. So the education system designed in a way that to enhance their cognitive intelligence. And then the other type of intelligence that we have, it is very highly related to creativity, which is linked to that specific capability. So you see, we have different people with different capabilities, but most of us are able, to achieve a very high talent and capability to acquiring knowledge and skills and completing, even a very complex processes, right? And this is related to generative AI. So any generative intelligence, any specific type of intelligence that can help us generate new things. For example, a kid can generate a new essay or a new art. So you see it's generating something out of nowhere, but where knowledge and a skill also very important to help them to be more creative and generative, right? So in education system, if you just want to connect it to the current education system that we have, the research degrees in universities specifically focus on developing these type of skills. For example, problem solving, critical thinking, this is something that aims in research degrees in universities. But again, some people, they are quite creative and they don't need those type of trainings. So now that we know what is intelligence, so one of the interesting things that humans generated as a generative intelligence is AI. So we had that gift of creativity, and now we are able to create something that can complete a process for us. For example, something that is capable of acquiring and applying knowledge, acquiring and applying skills, and then focus on completing a process. And this is where we can easily define AI system as any algorithm that is intelligent. So we have different types of AI systems. The first one is analytical AI, a specific type of AI system that focus on understanding a data. So this data could be image, this data could be text, this data could be, for example, a conversation between two people, audio. So whatever this data is, the AI can help you extract information and insight from the data and help you understand something, right? So it is interesting that over 80% of advances in artificial intelligence so far has been focusing on analytical AI, mining, rating, ranking, learning, so those type of algorithms. Another type of AI system that we have is cognitive AI, any AI system that can help us in decision making and choosing the best next step. So you see, at any point in time, we need to make decisions. Some decisions are very critical, so we need to collect lots of knowledge and information about them, lots of experience to make sure that we are just choosing the best decision and the best next step. But some decisions, we have few options, we just choose one of them. But anyway, cognitive AI, will help mimicking the knowledge of subject matter experts, focusing on the experience component, and then helping knowledge workers in organizations or even individuals in decision making. So we have heard about cognitive assistance, AI assistants, co-pilots, human AI interaction. So different types of algorithms that we have in research focusing on this one. Then we have heard about generative AI in the last 2 years, but it has been there for more than that. So generative AI is any AI system that can generate a new content. For example, you have heard about ChatGPT, generate a new text. DALL-E generate new image. Valley from Microsoft generate new speech. If you have hands-on coding and programming, we have GitHub Copilot that generates new program codes. And in our center, we have an innovation process GPT that generate new process models and process instances when if needed. And then another interesting type of AI systems is humanoid AI. So this is where we just forget about the software side. We want the AI to live in our real world, sense, hear, see. So we have vision, we have sensors, for example, for feeling the real world, hearing. And this is where you have those type of robots that the brain is connected to the software side. They have analytical AI, cognitive, and generative, but at the same time they can communicate and interact with us in the real world. So there's a prediction that in the next 5 years, there will be intelligent entities among us that we cannot differentiate them between real humans. So the field is advancing quite quickly. And then AI provide a huge opportunity for organizations in process automation, augmentation, and improvement. So any organization, they have these huge opportunities ahead, especially in the age of Gen AI. So there are a few keywords that you have heard, in the last 2 years. So generative AI is a very high-level topic. So any AI system and algorithm that can generate a new content or process. Foundation models, there are new type of models that can focus on more than one task. They can generalize, they can scale. So the normal learning model just focus on one specific task. You have the input, you have the model, and then you have the prediction. But you have seen, for example, in ChatGPT, you can ask questions about law, about medicine, about engineering. So whatever it is, focusing on different tasks, scalable, generalized. And then you have heard about LLMs or large language models. So that's a specific type of foundation models that focus on natural language, just as simple as that. And ChatGPT is a very good example, right? And then that software engineering is the heart of any AI and data science system. So it's really good for you to have a high-level understanding of what's happening in the world of software engineering. So traditionally, we had a computer, and then we had a data as an input and a program, and the computer generate the output for us. So it could be a very simple program where you have two numbers, you want to generate the summation, and then the data is the two numbers, 2 and 3. You have a program to sum up those numbers, and the output will be 5, right? And then we had machine learning. So in machine learning, we had the same computer. We didn't have any program. We had the huge amount of data as an input, and we had some examples of the output. So for example, I had lots of images, and I had some examples how to detect or identify face from these type of images. And then the computer is able to generate a program for me, as simple as that. And then if I connect this new program to a traditional software engineering, this is what we call machine learning engineering. So in the last 5 years, there have been over 60% of software engineers, upskilled into be machine learning engineers, because huge opportunities in the world of data as we are generating huge amount of information. But what is happening now in the world of Gen AI, you have the same computer, you really don't need any data or program. You only need to have a high-level understanding of the problem. And then you use natural language to just interact with the system. The system is able to generate program for you, is able to generate data for you. So this is something that is recently happening. So the last week I was delivering a keynote in China about natural language oriented programming, a new model that we have been developing in our center in IEEE services. And this is something that most of the people are really interested in, changing lots of opportunities. Just think about an executive in a company that doesn't have any computer science background, but they can generate a complex software or system just using a natural language. The other thing that I want to highlight here is jobs and the future of the jobs. If you just look at the job, simplify that as a set of related tasks and activities that you need to daily continue. So that's a process, right? So if as a person who working on a specific job title, what are the processes there, then there's a huge opportunity for AI to automate those processes or help you complete those processes more accurately and then quite quickly. So huge opportunities there for improvement, automation, and augmentation, especially at a scale. So I want to give you some simple examples. For example, GitHub Copilot is a generative AI system leading by Microsoft. And the prediction is that in the next few years, it will help software engineers to have the creativity and capability level of 10 plus experienced software engineer. So GitHub Copilot generates code. Let's say I'm a software engineer. I'm augmented by this type of technologies. Then my capabilities will be scaled to 10 plus experienced software engineer. And then another interesting example that we can have a look at is we all know the company named Adobe. So Photoshop, InDesign, and all those things. So at the end of 2023, they had over 29,000 staffs. But a recent company using Gen AI to do most of all these amazing works in image and video, it has only 11 staff. 11 staff using Gen AI scale, the capability is quite high. So these are some of the examples of jobs and processes that we have in hospitality. Just think about different processes. If you think process, then you can understand how AI can help you in automation augmentation. Revenue management, marketing, operations, customer service, quality control. So whatever it is, you can just identify different types of AI systems that can help you. Analytical AI, cognitive AI, generative AI, emotional AI. So there are huge opportunities there. But what is very important in the world of AI, because AI has been there for 30, 40 years, right? So what has happened in the last decade that AI now is on the forefront of any advancement and changes? So that's big data. So big data is different from large data sets. We have been dealing with large data sets before. We had supercomputers, we had mainframes. But a large data set is only one island of data. But using technology, what is happening? We are dealing with data generated on different islands: social, open, private, IoT. And this is a very simple example of the data generated on big data hospitality. The first step that you need to think about is to identify the relevant data sources, because it's a huge opportunity, and different types of data, from the events, from the weather, from the location, from the private data that you have, the activities of a specific, for example, user, IoT devices. So most of the systems, now they are getting intelligent, collecting lots of information, and lots of insightful discussions on social media. So if you are able to harness and capture this big data generated, then in any industry, you can use this data to revolutionize your processes. And this is a very important step. So this is some examples of type of jobs that can be revolutionized using big data and AI. Just think about the revenue management. Think about this, how Gen AI can generate a simulation environment that can help you predict accurately about any price change. Booking and reservation. So Gen AI can use the big data to personalize the recommendations. Let's say customer service. Just think about, for example, some sort of co-pilots and cognitive assistant AIs that can help customers, for example, that understand the context and then choosing a very accurate decisions. Marketing, operation, quality control, human resources, financial management, and crisis management is other examples. Again, if you think process, and if you understand your big data, then this is where AI experts can help you to automate, augment, or improve those type of processes. So one of the interesting examples of these AI-enabled processes is the Hotel RevBoost by IntelliSoftware. So AI-driven real-time data analysis, a game theory approach to provide a fair, let's say, trade between the seller and the buyer, market demand, competitor pricing assessment, advanced predictive analytics. And then there are lots of interesting use cases in customer segmentation, in dynamic pricing, in yield management across multiple channels, and scenario planning. And at Maquarie University, we had this pleasure to establish a new research contract with IntelliSoftware, over 1.9 million, to provide the breadth and depth of knowledge that we have in AI, to improve the system and provide other opportunities in the current market. So the current feedback from the customers in RevBoost is up to 60% improvement, which is really outstanding. Another thing that I want to quickly highlight is collective learning. Collective learning is a process that it is very specific for humans. So it's a process of transferring the knowledge to next generation. So animals, they don't have that because in 100 years, they will stay animals. But humans, they pass this knowledge to next generation. So just think about, a collective learning in the age of Gen AI. If you just have a quick, snapshot of what has happened in the collective learning, our ancestors started to develop a language to communicate. Then they started to write the knowledge on the skin of animals and stones and wood to pass it to next generation. Then we had printing press, libraries full of printed books for the knowledge. Then we had this very interesting Industry 4.0 and digitization that changed the whole history. 1981 personal computer changed the processes in collective learning. AI in social media in the last decades started to change the learning process for the students. And then now this is time for Gen AI for personalizing the teaching and learning. But if we can get a snapshot of collective learning in the age of Gen AI, and then let's call this general intelligence. And then think about this. If we have an intelligent entity, either a robot or a human, augmented by this general intelligence, we can call this AGI. So AGI is a buzzword that you may have heard about. AGI is an average level AI system that has the knowledge and expertise of average human in any field. So it has average knowledge of being doctor, lawyer, engineer, whatever it is. So if, let's say, we can augment a human, with this intelligence, then the definition of creativity will change. So we already started, seeing that big change when our students, starting using Gen AI. So the level of creativity will be creativity to the power of creativity. They come up with more innovations. They come up, for example, with lots of new ideas, around startups. So last year in California, most of the successful startups started from high school students who used Gen AI to develop new systems. So Gen AI can help you prepare a website, write a code, evaluate, so whatever it is. Another example, in research, it took a few weeks for us, to read a very complex paper and understand it. But now we use Gen AI just, to upload the paper, interact, and in just 1 or 2 hours, we are on top of the state of the art. So this year, I was the chair of, a very famous conference, and normally we received, 400 submissions, paper submissions. This year, we received over 1,300. So you see, people started using these technologies in ideation, in polishing, in whatever it is. I don't think, for example, this is a time to write email yourself. So, with a simple interaction with Gen AI, it can generate a very respectful, impactful, and complex email for you. This is a very simple example. So while we are focusing on innovations, it's also important to consider, the challenges and ethics around AI. That is why, we always focus on innovation with care. This is really important to consider because when always there is a new technology, there is misuse, right? And we really don't want that to happen. Some examples you can see here: misinformation, fake content, cybersecurity threats, job displacements, bias, privacy, even environmental impact. Just think about a large language model. So how much energy does it take for the system to generate only one query? And it affects, the environment. And we will see that, most of new AI technologies will focus on more, green technology. This is already happening. For example, if you have heard about liquid AI, that's, one of the very interesting initiatives there. And then the other very important thing, that we should focus on is to prepare for this wave. Rather than, worrying about that, we should start, educating ourselves. This is the responsibility of every individual of us and, the organizations that we are working for, to focus on AI literacy, train us, prepare us, and help us understand what's happening. One of the interesting things that will happen will be innovative workplace. For example, people augmented with AI, they will be able to do different processes at the same time. So we call that flexible roles. So one person with AI, they can do different processes in different sectors. And then roles, will be changed there as well. So some future prospects, I want you to start thinking again process. What sort of processes that could be improved, that could be automated, that could be augmented, you need to start thinking about personalization. Personalization is a very key role of artificial intelligence. You can personalize, for example, the recommendations for your customers. You can personalize the services for your staff. Just think about personalization. Think about flexible roles, how to be more creative, but less effort. So this is something that will happen in the near future. So you see, if you are very hardworking, focusing on one task, 9 hours a day sitting in front of the computer, how you can use this technology to be more productive, and at the same time you have a work-life balance as well. You don't really need to sit 9 hours or 7 hours, whatever it is, a day in front of the computer. Rather, use this technology to help you even be more productive, but at the same time, we should also focus on our health as well. And then I want to wrap up with this quote that AI will not replace jobs, but people who are using AI will replace people who are not very soon. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Does anybody, have you got some time for some questions?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions? I mean, that was amazing, because I know it's like people I may be asking where to start. But has anyone got any questions at all? We've got a roving mic.
I will also need, because I'm delivering a lecture at university at 11, so I will miss the opportunity to mingling with you during the breaks.
All right. Hi. No question. Oh, a question up here. Okay, great, sorry. Fantastic. Thank you.
How do you see the future of ethical regulation, and who's going to be in charge of that, given that the industry is moving at such a rapid pace? It feels like legislation is not going to keep up with that.
Yeah, this is a very good question, and this is not something that can be done in the national level. Let's say just think about a country like Australia that is very careful on the AI side, and we started putting regulation on the innovations, because just think about this. When we have these new technologies, the current version of law enforcement will not be enough to control people, because people who use Gen AI will find a way to do things in a different way, right? But just think about this. If Australia put all these regulations and then another country doesn't accept those, or doesn't believe in those, then it will not work. So we will end up being a very small community, just controlling ourselves, but other people will not care. So I think this is something that it's already also started. It's something international and should be controlled by the countries that generating these new technologies, because they know the real capability of these technologies. And we had a few chats with some of the engineers in those top companies. What we see, there are lots of controlling layers on top of that. So it is really amazing for us. We see, oh, wow, it understands, it can generate codes. We had very complex projects, for example, in one programming language, in just 1-2 hours, we just transform it in another programming language. It was a 6 months RA for a person, just doing that. You know what I mean? But the capability is much, much more compared to what we see. So those people creating these technologies, should work with other governments, to come up with those regulations. If we only focus on regulations without communicating to other people, it will not work.
Hi, just a follow-up question. Kevin Liu from Trip.com. I want to follow up on one of the things you mentioned about text, thoughts to text. Because as we probably all experience here and then, that as we were talking about probably olive oil, or maybe talking about fitness, advertisement will start showing up on Facebook, right? And so as you were talking about, thoughts to text, it reminds me of something from the Minority Report. Not sure if anyone's seen that movie. So what's your thoughts about having that in terms of advertisement in the future?
Having the avatars?
So having the thoughts to text, because that then can be used more of a powerful as an advertisement tool.
Oh, as advertisement, yeah. So I think the opportunities, are huge, in that specific case. We have now a new type of recommender systems, cognitive recommender systems. They understand the personality, behavior, attitude. They can personalize, those type of advertisement. And there are lots of AI algorithms, working behind the scene. So this is already happening. But now Gen AI, generating different types of opportunities in that specific space. So I see a huge change and opportunity in the AI-enabled advertisements. That will change quite quickly.
Any other questions? Because we sort of have to wrap up, and I know the professor has to head back and give a lecture. So any other questions? One more, just here in the middle. Jeremy? Thanks, Jeremy.
Hi, I'm Che from Gungana Lifestyle Retreat. Just obviously other countries, for example, Europe with GDPR, Singapore with the PDPA guidelines. Are you thinking that Australia will introduce something similar to that? I know our privacy with data laws are changing early next year. What are your thoughts as to where we're going in that space?
Yeah, so there has been lots of work in Australia. Australia is, one of the leaders in the world focusing on ethical and responsible AI. So specifically ethical and responsible and explainable AI, focusing on the transparency side of the AI. We had lots of new regulations. There has been lots of meetings at different levels of the government, and they have been started working with different countries as well. So I see that Australia is one of the leaders, in that. In the budget this year, we had more than 30 million for responsible AI, which is really good. But again, always there's a trade-off, between innovation, infrastructure, and responsible AI. So, we should also focus on investing on the innovation. For example, comparing to Canada, in their budget this year, they put 2.3 billion only for AI infrastructure. So if we want to have our own models, providing opportunities for our own startups, we also need those type of investment. It is very good, to focus on the responsibility side of the thing. But I give you a simple example. Whatever, research project that we have, half of that money goes to API call to high-tech companies that are outside Australia. So for example, if we want to use Gen AI, most of the startups or universities use OpenAI APIs, but you need to pay for that. You know what I mean? So if we invest on the AI infrastructure here, we will be in the position that we generate the next OpenAI company in Australia. So I very much hope for that.
That's all we have time for. Please thank Professor
Thank you so much.
Armin. Thank you very much.